In this lesson, we will learn how to display structure-type images. Unlike information-type images, structure-type images are usually displayed using the background property, the img tag. Structure-type images mainly include background images, logos, and icons. We will deal with the background image first. The background property cannot work alone. It needs to work with a HTML tag. But here comes a problem. The size of the HTML tag and the size of the image might not be the same. If the HTML tag is smaller than the image, only a part of the image would be displayed. By default, the top left corner of the image would be displayed. However, if the HTML tag and the image are of the same size, then the image can be displayed perfectly. But if the HTML tag is bigger than the image, what do you think will happen? Well, let's find out. Let's assign the background property to the body tag. Apparently, the body tag is much bigger than the image. From the experiment result, we can see the whole web page has been covered. The background image will keep repeating itself until every inch of space has been covered. However, you can actually control how the image repeats itself. By default, the image will repeat itself horizontally and vertically. We can use the background repeat property to control how the image repeats itself. If you set its value to repeat x, the image will only repeat itself horizontally. On the other hand, if you set its value to repeat y, the image will only repeat vertically. And if you set its value to no repeat, the image will not repeat itself. When we are setting background images for a web page, we will usually assign the background property to the body tag. However, remember, processing images is a rather heavy task. Therefore, a smaller size is always preferable. By default, background images will repeat themselves until every inch of space has been covered. Therefore, when you are creating a background image for a web page, we do not have to use an image big enough to cover the whole page. Instead, we can use a small image and ask it to repeat itself. Not every website likes the idea of using an expanding image as the background. Many websites prefer to use a big image as the background for better visual effects. But for a web page, its width is controllable and predictable, but its height is highly unpredictable. Therefore, if you use a complete image to work as the background image, an inevitable result is the image would be wide enough but not long enough. Therefore, in this case, we need to deal with two options. The first option. We want the background to stay where it is. If this is what you want, you should add another CSS property, background attachment, and set its value to fixed. In this way, no matter how long your web page is, when you scroll it, the background image will stay still. All the contents will be displayed above that image. Another option is you want the background to scroll together with your mouse. In this case, you set the background attachment's value to scroll. We are now done with background images. Next, let's try icons and logos. Before we start, we need to learn a new HTML tag, the div tag. The div tag is a block tag, which means you can directly control its size using the CSS property width and height. Most of you might already have an idea of how to display icons using the div tag and the background property. First, you set the div tag to the same size as the icon image. Then you use the icon image to serve as the background image of the div tag. Yes, you can get your images displayed this way, but this is not the best way. There is a more efficient option. Let's say we went to a bank to withdraw money. If we want to withdraw £100,000, it's a lot of money, but your bank will be able to get you that money quite quickly. But if you only withdraw £100 at a time, you'd have to withdraw this 1,000 times. Your bank can still get you the money, but they wouldn't be able to do much business during that day. Retrieving images from your server is a lot like withdrawing money from a bank. Withdrawing a large image file is a lot easier than withdrawing several small image files. You might not believe this, but all icons you can find on a web page are actually from the same image. Your web page might need several icons, but your server only needs to retrieve one image for that. This can significantly reduce your server's workload. This technology is called Image Sprite. If all the icons are from the same image, how do we display the one we want? Well, if the HTML tag is smaller than the image file, only a part of the image would be displayed. Therefore, all we need to do is to control which part of the image would be displayed. By default, the top left part of the image will be kept. If we want to display other parts of the image, we just need to lift the image up or move it leftward. To move the image, we use the CSS property background position. The background position property requires you to set two values. The two values can be positive or negative. Between the two values, you need a white space to separate them. The first value controls how much the image moves rightward. While the second one controls how much the image moves downward. If you set negative values here, the image will move leftward and upward. Background repeat, background attachment, and background position can be integrated into the background property directly. You just need to assign their values to the background property.